Hello, my name is Nicole, and thank you so much for taking time out to listen to part 2 of this message. And we're going to continue Eyes on Gold. And I was prompted to do this in the spiritual realm, this audio series. And I also had a dream where I saw a number of African Americans that were wearing gold. And then, of course, I did my research based on the dream, and I came across an abundance of information to help some of you all, because God will not have his people be blindsided when it comes to economic woes, economic challenges, and so forth. He does not want us to use and abuse what he has given us, whether it's a precious metal or whether it is a natural resource or just anything dealing with wealth. But we do have those who hoard. We do have those who are greedy, right? For money, for gold, for natural resources. And he wants us to see that a lot of what is taking place, especially nationally and internationally, all comes back to the money trail. Now, Eyes on Gold. Eyes on Gold is important because it does speak to what is happening in our economy. And so we have a lot of folks who will pay close attention. But then they also pay attention to oil. They pay attention to coal. They pay attention to natural gas. They pay attention to nuclear related types of things. They pay attention to hydroelectric stuff. They pay attention to renewables. Okay. So it's not just about gold and silver nowadays. And we do see these sorts of things in the Bible. And I did reference the Bible in the last message. But it's other stuff that the elitists pay attention to. Once again, God will not have you be ignorant. Okay. And so for those of you all who say, well, yes, God talks about this thing and that thing when it comes to family and relationships and spirituality. Well, does he say anything about money? He says plenty about money. There's plenty of scriptures. And if you spend some time reading the Bible, you will find that there are many references, practical information when it comes to money. But that's not our focus solely when it comes to walking with the Lord. Okay. There's other aspects. That relationship that you have with someone. Once money gets involved, the relationship changes. Notice that? The love of money, as they say, is the root of all evil. When you're in business, you have to choose whether you want a friend or whether you want a customer. And I have had to personally do that in my life. Do I want a friend or do I want a customer? Some people say, well, you could have both. Well, sooner or later, though, it does affect the relationship as long as that person is continuing to do business with you. Okay, because what if they say something that you don't like? What if they do something that's wrong? What if they end up not liking the product or the service that you provide? That is going to impact your friendship. Okay, sooner or later. So you always have to make a decision when it comes to wealth. Who is going to be that one that advises you? Who is going to be that one that's going to help you spend? Who's going to be that one that you're going to partner with? And, they're going to be able to contribute, whether it's service, whether it's products, whether it's whatever, but bottom line is that we pray and we ask the Lord about these things. So these elitists that pay close attention to oil and coal and gold and silver and precious gems and natural gas and nuclear, hydroelectric stuff, renewables and so forth. These folks who pay attention to these things, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing in terms of diversifying their income. And not everybody is receiving money just from a job. Okay. I have to repeat that. I said it in the last audio and I'm saying it again. So there are those that are warning people about all sorts of things dealing with this bubble, okay? A bubble that was similar to 2008. If you're not familiar with the economic crash back in 2008, you need to refresh your mind a bit, refresh your memory, or start doing some research, because you're going to see some similarities that are taking place, that this is why these people are, sounding the alarm. Okay. Anytime an administration is up to no good, administration is all about, what is good for their elitist hood, you're going to have some problems. So, stocks, bonds, and real estate is typically what most, people will invest in, right? But this other stuff that I mentioned, You have some people who they don't even touch it. They don't even know anything about stocks, bonds, or real estate. But if you do some research, you'll learn that there are those things that are beneficial. And then, of course, there are those things that are not. And this is why you look at the prospectus of these different companies before you go forking over your money. And you don't trust people just because they tell you that this is hot for right now. Wait a minute, before we start moving money, let me check. Let me do my research. Well, you don't need to do that. Yes, I do. And you check the reviews. You check the ordinary Joes that invested in these stocks and bonds and real estate and see what happened. Okay. And then you go back to 2008. Okay. And you find out what that company did that you're considering on getting connected with. And you also check your existing portfolio. I'm talking to somebody. Now, I came across an interesting article over at goldfeverprospecting.com. And what they do is they actually tell you where gold is located in the United States. Now, of course, there are all sorts of legalities. Of course, there is all sorts of companies and so forth that already got their hands on gold, right, in these various states. But I thought it was worth mentioning because if you take a look at who lives in these states, you will find that's why they live in those states. Okay. It's not just about, oh, this is a great town or a great community or they have great schools. Some of these elitists, they strategically have generations of folks living in these states because they know something that the majority of the populace doesn't know. This place is filled with gold. Now, they'll talk about California and the mother lode and all this other stuff. But no, there was other states. Those states were Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, California, Colorado, Georgia, Idaho, Michigan, Montana, Nevada, New Mexico, North Carolina, Oregon, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Virginia, Washington, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. Shout out to all of you all. Your state has major amounts of gold. There is a long history of gold having been found in those states. There are generations of rich folk that live in those states that are directly tied to gold. Historic records are generally not very good. Small amounts of gold have also been found in, listen to this, and shout out to you all, Indiana, Maine, Maryland, Missouri, New Hampshire, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, that's where I'm from, Rhode Island, and Vermont, which taken together with the big producers means that in 3 out of every 5 states, you have a decent chance to find a little gold for yourself. So if you plan on building up a home somewhere, yeah, you might want to be over there when they break that dirt up with your little gold detector. You know, the little metal detector. I'm telling somebody something. You need to be over there when they break the ground to build your home or build your new office building or whatever else, or your church, with your metal detector, if you live in any of those states, because they have a history of gold. Now, that's God. I'm telling you, I didn't go on this message thinking about this sort of thing. God just said, this is what I want you to show. This is what I want you to tell. Okay. Now, I talked about the gold spiritual meaning, and there is a psychology to even wearing the color gold. And those individuals in that dream that were decked out in gold that I spoke of in the last message, when you are decked out in gold, and anybody who has been around some folks knows that they exhibit wealth. They exhibit success and status. This is why you get these rappers and you get some of these, you know, actors and actresses who want gold tiles and gold toilets and gold this and gold that. Okay. And some will even eat gold. I know that shocks some folks, but there is edible gold out there, and people spend a lot of money for gold desserts. Okay. There is even a website called ediblegold.com. You take a look at that and you'll find that gold is present in cosmetics. It helps out with anti-aging related things. There are those that like to just purchase gold just for the mere collection of it. Some people will use gold in their crafts. Okay. And then this way they're able to charge all sorts of crazy amounts of money because they got real gold present, little chips of it in their artwork. Okay. When one is wearing this color of gold, I wanted to go over, matter of fact, I'm going to read from Empowered by Color. It's Empower Yourself with ColorPsychology.com. When one is dressing in gold and they're showing that they're successful and that they have achieved much, okay, and all of this, even when they haven't, they are basically deceiving the public when they do this sort of thing. But if you want to walk in the belief that you are in fact successful, if you want to walk in the belief that you got it going on, I mean, I don't see there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. But anyway, gold is associated with abundance and prosperity, luxury and quality, prestige and sophistication, value and elegance. The psychology of this color implies affluence, material wealth, and extravagance. Okay. Gold in its physical state by its very nature denotes wealth and prestige in every country, culture, and market in the world today. Now, something that is so, I'm just going to challenge some of you all to think a little bit. Something that is this important, okay? Something that is just exhibiting all of this success and luxury and wealth and extravagance and all of that. Don't you think that there would be individuals that would protect what they already have? Don't you think that there would be individuals that would be coming up with all sorts of plans to protect their assets? Of course. Of course. And so they will go to extreme lengths to protect what they already have. It's like that mother who protects her son or daughter, right? From anybody and anyone who wants to try to harm them. And I know that for some people it's far-fetched to think that way because, well, you never had. So when you never had, you don't even think beyond what media tells you. But when you got a little something and when you can relate to what it takes to protect what you got, this is where guns come into play. Because I told you all in a previous message that I saw where I was encouraging my son to purchase this gun. It wasn't to kill anyone, but to injure him because this gun was a BB gun. But it was decked with a gold strap. So, you see, there are those that gold and guns go hand in hand. And they don't want folks touching what they've acquired. I know that some folks will say, well, just get rid of it if it's going to cause people to go crazy and go mad and all of that. And if it's going to be a problem to society, we need to get rid of it. Not so fast. Not so fast. Something that is the color of wealth, success, and status, something that people will steal, will kill for. Oh, no. Folks aren't going to let that go. They're not going to throw it away. And people that live in those states that I called out where gold is present, they may have houses right now sitting on top of gold. But either way, they're not going to give up so easily. And they don't know who knows that up underneath their property is some gold. And so, yeah, you would have a gun in your home. See, I'm trying to make this plain for some of you all that question this sort of thing. You going to protect what's important to you, you see. The color gold is linked to masculine energy and the power of the sun compared to silver, which is associated with feminine energy and the sensitivity of the moon, according to this website. Optimistic and positive gold adds richness and warmth to everything with which it is associated. And you have people who design homes, right? And interior decorators, and they will make sure that there is a touch of gold, right? Because it illuminates and enhances other things around it. At the uppermost level, this is a color which is associated with higher ideals, wisdom, understanding, and enlightenment. It inspires knowledge, spirituality, and a deep understanding of the self and the soul. Okay? Notice first place medals are always in gold, right? So this gold color and gold medal and golden designs and gold when you dream about it, this is essential. It's essential because what it does is it leads you toward a path of understanding. Okay? And this is what you're getting in these audio messages. God has a way of taking the most simplistic thing, something that you don't even think about. Who would have thought gold? And he brings you to an awareness of what is taking place in your economy. He brings you to an awareness of what is taking place in your state. He brings you to an awareness of why it is important to invest in certain types of gold rather than other types of gold that is cheap, that breaks, and that later on, as I mentioned in the other audio, might end up being worthless. Should I go over to the department store and purchase all of this gold? Well, maybe you already did. And maybe you did go to a reputable department store that has been known to have quality gold. Okay, fine. You did your research. You read reviews. But you don't just up and go somewhere and buy just anything and everything without doing your research. And back in the day, yeah, you used to have to go to 2 and 3 and 4 stores and talk to the neighborhood about this, that, and the other. And maybe some of you all still do that. But there is so much information on the internet that even if there's paid reviews on this one website about gold, you can go and check other websites and find out real reviews, because all that glitters is certainly not gold. Now, there is a negative side to the color of gold. Okay. And this particular website brings awareness to it. EmpowerYourselfWithColorPsychology.com. If living under the negative of the color gold, you may not trust easily, have a fear of success and wealth, or even exhibit a fear of failure. You may be selfish and demanding, lacking kindness and generosity, even to the extreme of being miserly. This, my friends, describes many wealthy individuals. They're selfish, they're demanding, they lack kindness, they're not generous folks, and they're very, very cheap. Okay? And when you are around these sorts of individuals, you don't give up your gold nuggets of wisdom, your gold nuggets, whether they're real or fake even. You don't give them over to people, okay, that exhibit this sort of personality. You just don't. And some of you all, you have some people in your family that you intend, or family friends, you intend on giving your gold to. And the Lord is saying, why would you give your gold to people who you know are selfish and demanding? Why would you even protect the gold, the wealth of people who are selfish and demanding, who lack kindness, who are not generous, and who are very miserly? Why would you do that? And you got some folks who are the gatekeepers of people's wealth, and they're doing just that. And God is saying that your husband, your wife, your cousin, your brother, your favorite, whoever, do you even pay attention to how they act? But yet you are saving up their wealth. You're protecting their wealth. You're talking about their wealth. You are diversifying their wealth. You're doing all of these things for somebody who is going straight to a place called hell. Oh, that's taking it a bit too far. Oh, no. The Bible says that we got some folks that's not going to inherit the kingdom of God. That's God's judgment. That's not man coming up with anything. That's God saying that there are sins that men commit, that there are things that men do that make them, as well as women, that make them children of darkness. Now, how in the world are you going to take a child of darkness and make that child of darkness a child of light? How can you do that? That person has to do it themselves. That person has to come to an understanding and a knowing of Jesus Christ themselves. Gold. I had a dream. I had a dream. I was, seeing all this gold, somebody says. You can see it, but Are you walking that kind of life that looks golden? Are you living that kind of life that's golden? Uh-oh. There's positive words dealing with gold, right? Success, abundance, wealth, understanding, self-worth, wisdom, compassion, love, passion, and so forth. But then there's negative words. There's that fear of success, fear of wealth, self-centeredness, demanding, right? Mean-spiritedness, lack of trust, and so forth. Falseness, false gold. But when you receive enlightenment, gold nuggets of wisdom, you aren't supposed to just sit back and admire them. You're supposed to act on them. And there are those who they need to act on gold, wisdom, knowledge. Now we're talking about, they already got the gold medals, understood. They already got gold invested here, there, and everywhere. But are they enlightened on knowledge? Knowledge that exposes lies, cover-ups, and secrets. Are they enlightened when it comes to the economy? Are they doing what they're supposed to do with their resources to increase wealth, not decrease it? There are individuals that I've come across in my years that have made 6 figures. No lie. 6 figures. And I have sat back and I have watched individuals, and I've also heard stories of those people who have been privy to see what these people do with their money. And it hasn't been good. The very things that I mentioned about not being compassionate, not being generous, not being open to understanding and knowledge and all of that, these people possess. And the Lord gave them, allowed them, gave them access to this money. And these people, all them years, talk about when I get this money, when I get this money. And when they got the money, they didn't do anything that they were supposed to do with it. Even when people of wealth was educating them and advising them and telling them what to do, they did things half-heartedly or not at all. I don't need no financial advisor. I don't need nobody to help me with this and that and the other concerning my money. This is my money. I don't need to read the news. The news is negative. It's bad. But there are some things that God will move upon us to look at because it impacts us directly. I don't need to see that. And you know what? Those same individuals that talk a bunch of mess about what they don't need to see, what they don't need to know, they're going to be the ones that get caught up in a similar storm like those back in 2008 who were sitting on top of their gold, thinking that everything was bright and beautiful and sweet and nice while they were being stingy. Okay, look back on 2008 for some of you all, being stingy, didn't learn the lesson back then, didn't learn the lesson now. They were sitting back bragging. They were sitting back talking about all of what they got. They did not want to help the people of God. They did not want to give toward anybody who was doing anything related to spirituality. No, this is my money. They were not going into the churches with a positive spirit. Instead, they were going into the churches cursing God and cursing the people of God. 2008. I'm giving some people some insight as to what was going on. They thought it was just all about the money. It wasn't about the money. It was their attitude. It was their attitude that slowly but surely caused them to lose much. Arguing with spouses over money, not making the necessary investments when they should have been, not pulling money away because they were greedy for more wealth. Even when they heard things, I don't believe that. Even when God had moved on them to watch certain shows, and now they're still not watching certain shows that are helping the elitists. You think the elitists want to lose some money? No. So they got certain shows out there that are designed by them for them. But, I don't watch that because that's boring. Okay, get caught up in the storm again. Oh, no, I received some mail about it, but I'm trying to stay positive. Staying positive is not what you do when there is a crisis pending. We don't know the day. We don't know the hour. And some folks are trying to predict that, and they shouldn't, because we don't. God has not given that information to us. And those that are predicting is going to mess around and predict wrong. And some folks are going to prematurely do some things, and then they're going to regret. And then there's some others that, they're going to be safe, but then right around the corner is going to be another storm. And yeah, you may have saved this portion of your wealth, but then you didn't know about all these other things because somebody led you down the wrong rabbit hole. Because there's a rabbit hole for safety, and then there's a rabbit hole that all it does is put you in an endless trap of foolishness, and you never come out of it. And some of you truth tellers and truth seekers, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Read between the lines and do your research. Do your research on the economy. Go a little bit deeper. Well, that is it. I had to close out this message with just some practical wisdom, and I hope that those of you all who could see the writing on the wall will go ahead and read it and do what you need to do when it comes to your personal finances. Those of you all who have yet to invest, this is one metal that is safe, okay, that you can invest in, even though it's doing its own thing right now at times in the stock market and elsewhere. But gold will always be one of those things that you can safely invest in. Those of you all who have been considering on just visiting some of these sites and adding a little gold to your crafts, there you are, right there. That's an idea. That's something that, God is inspiring some of you all to already do. And it's going to bring the value of your artwork up. Okay. And then for some of you others that have been seeing the visions, the dreams, the signs, the wonders and so forth related to gold, you got a long list of things, right, to consider. When it comes to wearing gold, decorating atmospheres with gold, you interior designers, it's a good time. It's a good time to just zero in on what's happening in the economy when it is related to gold. Also, pay attention to what's happening with other natural resources, because the natural resources are telling the story as to why there's chaos going on. Okay, in the media with some of these folks. But I've got to distract you away from, if I'm an elitist, I've got to distract you away from the natural resources that are found in these different countries, right? Different cities and so forth. And make up some stuff because I don't want the public, okay, coming over there and wanting to live in that community. I don't want them pulling, from, these natural resources. This is mine, right? I want to leave you with gold that's found in countries around the world. I have an international audience, and this is going to appeal to them. And this will also explain why the United States keeps coming and going out of your countries, and why there are those manufactured events that you question, and why, people just act in the way that they act. Gold is a chemical element with the symbol AU, and the atomic number is 79. And some of you all, if you are into paying attention to numbers and you tie those numbers into national events, and you see certain lettering that's emphasized, you may want to pay close attention to 79 and also the lettering AU. Okay. Gold is a transition metal and a group 11 element. Once again, that's another number for you to pay attention to. There are also silver, platinum, copper, iron, and diamonds that are also looked at as well as searched for, okay, all around the world. And so if your country is known for having these things, you best believe there are some of the richest men and women that are going to hire some folks to come into your country and start excavating and doing all sorts of testing and so forth. Okay. The countries that produce gold is and continents are Asia and China, Australia, Europe, and Russia. And there could have been some recent discoveries in Russia. The reason why there's eyes on Russia. Okay. I haven't researched that, but that is food for thought. Of course, gold has been found in the United States, Canada, Peru, South Africa. Okay. Mexico, Uzbekistan, Indonesia, Ghana, Brazil, Papua New Guinea. Okay. Eyes on gold, eyes on these countries. Manufactured events, things to distract you from what really is going on. New discoveries with gold in this country, that area, this city. We got to figure out a way to get down there. How are we going to do it? And so the plans are made. Same thing with silver, platinum, copper, iron, diamonds. Okay? Same thing with oil. Things haven't changed when it comes to land and natural resources, the Lord tells me. This stuff has been going on and will continue to go on. Greed is the motivating factor behind these things. For some of you all, the 3 countries with the largest gold reserves, if you go to commodityhq.com for further education on this rich history of gold, you will find, once again, Australia, South Africa, and Russia. Since Russia is in the media, I'm going to read something to you off of commodityhq.com. Russia is better known by investors for its abundance of energy resources. And all you have to do is just take a look at some of those companies, right, that deal with energy and who those companies are tied to. But it is also a major player in precious metals such as gold and has been since the 19th century. So it would be in the United States' best interest to build alliances with Russia, even if that means releasing some information, right, to tickle Russia's ears. Right? You give me something, I give you something. You scratch my back, I scratch your back. Negotiations are essential, right? Someone told us. And you got to know how to negotiate if you want to build certain alliances. The country is estimated to have the world's 3rd largest gold reserve at approximately 5,000 tons of gold, and is currently the world's 4th largest producer of gold. 2/3 of Russian gold production is estimated to come from 6 eastern federal subjects in the country: Amur, Irkutsk, and some other names, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce them. Magadan, but you get the picture. And you can easily do research on Russian gold production, and those names will come up. 2 of the most prominent gold mining companies in Russia are Polis Gold International, ADR, OGYPY, and Polymetal International, POLY, okay, which is listed on the London Stock Exchange. Other large gold producers are Amalin Gold and Buryatazoloto. At the same time, the central government still plays a major role in the industry. Okay? Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. God's people is not ignorant. Okay? We know much because of the God that we serve. This is why you don't jump on the bandwagon of what media puts out there. Folks is in bed with folks for good reason. Folks are negotiating for good reason. Manufactured events are taking place for good reason. You who look at the surface news and only the surface news and you don't go beyond it, you get mixed in and mixed up with all sorts of stuff that they put out there. But at the end of the day, it goes back to natural resources and precious metals. Okay? So, although things look complicated, they're also quite simple, and it all goes back to biblical times. The Lord unearths truth. He also unearths many things to bless certain individuals who will bless others. But if that one who unearths some things and wants to be the demanding, selfish, miserly type of person, what the Lord gives, he will also take away. So it would make sense that the elitists who have access to all of these resources, it would make sense that you should be giving back to people in the community, giving back to the folks who will be appreciative of your efforts, the folks that do have the skill set to be able to create organizations as well as contribute to existing ones. But when you're taken away from things like education, when you are taking away from people who you know already don't have much, God will complicate matters, and it will become very tough to get those natural resources and precious metals without bloodshed. So, I think I've given you more than enough. I'm listening to the Spirit right now. I'm sure that some of you all, you have your share of questions. You have your share of things that you know that you need to investigate more. So I'm going to leave you to do that. Please do check the description box for anything that might be of interest. You've been listening to YouTube NM Enterprise 7. Subscribe today. Also, if you haven't given, we do welcome donations. And we also would just like for you to just ponder, right? Ponder on the various audio messages and apply what is relevant to your life, okay? And give the necessary information to those who you know could benefit from this audio as well as others. Well, thank you. Blessings to you once again.